Hey, what's up, everybody? Before we jump into this episode, I have a question for you. Would you like to join me on a paranormal investigation? And not just a history tour camouflaged as a paranormal investigation, but an authentic paranormal investigation with real clients and real stakes. If so, on October 17th through the 20th, there are 8 spots left to join me at AGH Presents the Flint Creek Ranch, which is an estate located just outside of Dallas, Texas, that is allegedly haunted. It is not just any estate. This is a 3,900-acre estate in which the main house is 6,400 square feet, but it is also allegedly very haunted, which the owners don't even sleep in there. They actually sleep in their guest house, which is half the size. There are multiple locations that could be the source of the haunting, multiple possibilities as to who or what is causing the haunting, and we will be the first group to ever be granted access to investigate this incredible location. Right now, we have guests that are coming from as far away as Australia, Canada, and all over the United States. So if you're not in Texas, don't feel like this is off your radar, because for most locations in the U.S., it's a short, quick, direct flight to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. And once you're at the airport, through carpooling with our current guests, we can definitely arrange to help you with transportation to the Flint Creek Ranch. I want to make it very clear that this is a real investigation. It is a 4-day, 3-night event with all kinds of things that are planned. You'll be living in the haunted location the entire time. So although we have paranormal investigation and ghost hunting time set, at any given time, anything can happen. Having said that, my friends, if you are interested in joining us for this truly once-in-a-lifetime event, and you want to claim one or more of the final 8 tickets to this event, please visit www.aghtelevision.com/events, which you can see the address on the screen right now. This is a real investigation with real clients that truly want to know what is going on, and we will be the first ever to investigate this place. So what we accomplish there will be historic, as we will be authoring the paranormal history of this location. And beyond all of that, it's just going to be an incredible time with an amazing group of people, which I hope to see you there. Now, with that being said, let's jump right in to tonight's episode. Hey, what's up, everybody? Chad Calek here, and welcome back to the In a Crowded Room podcast for episode number 79, which by request, your request, we are going to talk about the Paranormal State episode that dealt with the Boston Puckwudgies. Now, what is a Puckwudgie? Well, I learned on this case that a Puckwudgie is basically the Native American version of a gnome, or Ireland's leprechauns, little humanoid-like creatures that live in the woods, that have magical powers, if you will, and they're just little shits. They just like to annoy you and cause havoc and chaos, and these little creatures are rumored to exist throughout the world. Now, when this episode was first presented to me, and they told me about this case, I honestly thought we were being trolled. I thought the network was totally fucking with us. And the reason I did is because we did talk about for a long time the potential of doing like a April Fool's episode or a comedic episode for fans, because Paranormal State was so serious by nature, which, by the way, that wasn't really our doing. Like, we literally had moments where the director would tell us to stop laughing or joking or don't smile They they really tried to push the heavy dark narrative like we were all just these super depressed investigators, and it was quite the opposite. We had a blast on set. There was tons of laughs on set, especially in the early seasons before politics and money and power kind of corrupted the whole thing. So when I first saw this, I thought it was a joke. I had never heard of Puckwudgies, and this was an episode that I was slated to direct as well. So I didn't know what to think. I thought if the people living there believed that there were Puckwudgies, they had to be crazy. Well, I later found out that they didn't believe that. They didn't even know what Puckwudgies were, but whoever the A&E research team was, they kind of came up with this concept and idea, and after researching it, Ryan thought there was something to it, which actually, after researching it as well, Puckwudgies might be crazy, but the concept wasn't crazy because there was such a history of these creatures in and around that area. In fact, the house sat in what would be ground zero for the first reported cases of Puckwudgies. I knew this was going to be a tough episode when it started because the husband was very Boston. And by the way, they lived in a suburb of Boston. Now, what I mean by very Boston is he definitely had that kind of Boston accent and that kind of Goodfellas nature, that Sopranos type of way about him. He was a no BS type of guy, you can tell. And he was genuinely concerned that something really bizarre was going on in his house, especially because it was affecting his wife and it was affecting their children. But here is what sucks, and it always sucks when we went into cases like this. The husband didn't want anything to do with us. He didn't want us there. He didn't like the idea of making a show out of it. He thought that whatever was going on in their house made light of their problem and kind of demeaned it. And he thought it would make him look crazy, in which he was very concerned with how he would look to his friends and relatives and coworkers and all that stuff, which I think I mentioned before, that was just very common on Paranormal State. And I understood, man, because once this comes out, a lot of times clients just don't realize that everybody and their brother is going to know. I never realized that until after the first episode I ever did of Paranormal State. I am telling you, within 7 days, every single person I went to school with, every relative I have, every acquaintance I have, every ex-girlfriend, every one-night stand, every dude that I met for 5 minutes at a party, every fan I ever met, everybody contacted me. Within 7 days, I got emails from everybody. So I knew the power of television when something is popular. You don't realize how many people, 3, 4, 5 million people is. It's a lot. And that's about, if you have a TV show that reaches 1.5 to 2 million people, the numbers are probably closer to 5 to 6 million when you get, past the Nielsen ratings and you get into the web and bootlegging and all that stuff. Plus the web allows things to just rerun for whoever finds it, right? And, name a person who hasn't gone through the web and searched for ghost videos or ghost shows. Everybody is going to see it. So I understood this guy's apprehension because he's right. Every person he's ever worked with, his bosses, employers, friends, everyone's going to see it. And if they don't know that he already thinks his place is haunted, they're going to know now. Now, on the flip side, his wife was the reason that we were there. She was a fan of the show, which I never liked going into episodes because I just, it's kind of like the Laura Mooney thing, We're there to try to help her with, a possession case, and the last thing she wants is help because the possession case is why Ryan came. So a lot of times when we would go into cases where, one of the clients was a fan of the show, I never liked it because I just always felt like, is this real or not? We had to work extra hard to determine if there was an authentic haunting going on. So not only am I directing this case, I learned at the last second that I was also going to be joining the team as an investigator. And I think that's because somebody was scheduled to make it and they couldn't. So I stepped in at the last second. But I had to be brought up to speed on what the heck Puckwudgies were. And one of the funniest things about this episode is if you go back and rewatch it, nobody can say the word Puckwudgies right. I just said it wrong. See, right there. The actual pronunciation is Puckwudgies. And we called it every variation throughout the entire episode. Puckwudgies, Puckwudgies, Pukwudgies, Pukwudgies. If you watch the episode, it's funny. There's probably a dozen ways that we mispronounced the name. We just couldn't remember it. And again, I had never heard it. So after our first kind of team, huddle, I just remember going, is this real? Like, are we here to see if, Indian leprechauns are haunting this place? Now, what was weird about the haunting is it was things that I haven't heard before. I've heard of mischievous things that happen during hauntings, obviously, but a lot of times those are associated with child spirits. But this was different. These things were borderline dangerous. Turning on ovens, things like that, doing things that physically hurt people. And what I mean by that is supposedly Puckwudgies have these little like arrows that they throw. They're like little needles, and they feel like a needle going into your body. Now, I made fun of this when I first heard it. I didn't think this was real. None of it seemed real to me. And when they told me that, I was like, man, that's kind of creepy. You're just standing there and suddenly it feels like a needle is going into your body. So I didn't buy into really any of it, but I was fascinated by it. And part of the reason that I was fascinated by it is I am fascinated with Native American earthbound religions, or earth-based religions. Especially from a lot of my religious studies courses dealt with the differences between different native beliefs, whether it be like the Sioux Indians or Omaha Indians or Des Moines or Potawatomi, or they would all of these different tribes would have variations, but a lot of similarities. I had never heard of this belief in like Puckwudgies. So I was fascinated by the legend and the lore. But, there's a big difference between believing in it. Like I'm fascinated by Egyptian theology, but I don't believe in, 99% of it. They're just great stories. So when it came time to do the first investigation, I was like, let's go. Let's see what's going on. And the first place we went was down into the basement. And almost instantly, I started getting shooting pains in my feet, and then my calves, then my hands, and then, honestly, in my ass. It literally felt like someone took a needle and just jabbed you with it. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, and as it was happening, I was thinking it was ridiculous, but it stung like a bitch. You'd just be standing there and just striking pain. And I was just like, this cannot be real. I have to be doing this to myself. And what I mean by that is, you guys know, I'm a huge believer in psychokinetic ability, that if you think something will happen, it will. It's the whole placebo effect, right? You tell someone you're sick, here's the medicine, you give them a placebo. And if they believe in it enough, if they're in 100% sold in documented cases, they will start seeing signs of that medicine. Their body will start reacting as though it does have that medicine, but it doesn't. So I'm thinking, I'm just so fascinated with this that I'm creating this. It's the blood red sky experiment, you know? I'm creating this. I'm fascinated by it. I'm interested, and that is what's going on. And then all of a sudden, I feel the back of my shirt just get jerked hard as hell. And I say to Ryan, whoa, dude, something pulled on my shirt. And he's like, where? You know, I say, like the back of my shirt. Something grabbed the bottom of my shirt, and it pulled down in a way like something small reached up, grabbed my shirt, and jerked it away and down. And he was like, are you serious? I'm like, no, I'm dead serious. I felt it. You know, and this was all in the basement. This was happening. So we get done with the investigation, and we go, our separate ways to look over our own tapes. And that's usually how it worked. Whatever footage you shot, you were responsible in the time period that you had to review your own footage and then bring your findings back to the table. And I felt kind of stupid because I was the one that was saying, I'm getting, something's being, like needle, it feels like needles are in my hands and in my feet, and, this is happening, and something poked me in the butt, and, I have all this stuff that I'm saying is happening to me, but my camera shows nothing. Zero, nothing. No shadows, definitely no Pukwudgies, no doors opening and closing, like nothing. But on my camera, obviously you can hear me say to Ryan, something grabbed my shirt. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, I'm sure. Something just tugged my shirt. And I say, well, unfortunately, guys, I don't have the footage, obviously, because I was holding my camera. But all you can see on my camera is that right before I say something jerked my shirt, you could just see the camera kind of jerk because I was holding it in my hand. So when my shirt got pulled, the camera just kind of jolts from the pull. But I say to them, obviously I can't present this as evidence because you can't see my shirt being tugged. And that's when Sergi says, well, I got something to show you guys. And it was honestly one of the better pieces of evidence ever captured in a paranormal state. Nobody talks about it like that just because there were, bigger things as far as like visually that were more shocking and more stunning, like, the thermal footage of the Jersey Devil. That's pretty huge evidence, But what was special about this is it was so clear. I'm standing there. You can see both my hands. You can see that one hand has a camcorder in it. And just out of the blue, you see my shirt literally just jerked in one fluid motion back, away, and down, like I said. And it pulls so hard, my body actually jerks backwards. And you can just clearly see there is nothing there to be doing it. It just happens. So you obviously can't see the Puckwudgies with your eyes if that's what they are. But it was clear that this was paranormal activity, and it was undeniable. Undeniable. And it was shocking to me when I saw it. Which obviously at that point, people are now giving me a stronger benefit of the doubt when I say I felt like needles going into my hands and my feet and my butt and my legs. And it wasn't like a machine gun fire of them. It would be like every minute or two, I'd just be standing there, and it would feel like someone took a super sharp sewing needle and just bink, just pop my hand with it. And it stung like a bitch. I mean, it was just like, ooh, God dang it. And this happened over the course of, a 2-hour investigation. It probably happened, I would say 20 times total. I mean, all of the, all the times that I felt like a needle, pricked me, probably 20 times. So it wasn't like it was like, I'm just standing there and it feels like 100 needles are going in my body or something like that. So I'm fascinated by this because I've never experienced this before. I've never seen anything like this before. The reports from the family are unique because it was things like, they'll turn on the stove, they'll hide my car keys, they'll unlock the door when it's supposed to be locked. They would do things that could create real havoc potentially. And his children were now terrified. Terrified to be alone. He was talking about selling the house. She was too. They didn't want to. They were looking for some way to basically make their home safe for their family. So, the short of it is we did 2 investigations. Both times I felt like the needle jabs. What was weird though is I was the only one that felt those, and I was the only one that experienced anything paranormal, like having my shirt tugged. And again, I invite you all to go back and watch this episode because it really is one of the best pieces of evidence we ever captured. And it was captured on CCTV cam. And again, you can clearly see where I'm standing. You could see everything. There would be no way to fake this. This is like the real deal. I don't know why it picked on me. The only thing I could think of is kind of what I always think of is the reason I had a tendency to always capture evidence. Now, admitted, I've talked about this before. For a while, I was getting freaked out because I was on a hot streak, unlike anything I had ever experienced on Paranormal State for almost all of season 3 and most of season 4. It just seemed like I could walk into any place that was haunted, and within 10 minutes, I would capture something. But I think the big reason why I have a tendency to capture evidence so much is I don't have that veil of disbelief. I know the paranormal is real. I know it the same way that I know grass is green and the sky is blue. Like I have no pause in me when it comes to, do I believe in the paranormal? Now, do I believe in everything that I hear about cases? No, I'm actually one of the most skeptical investigators you'll ever meet in your life because 99% of things I think can be explained. And I just can't bring myself to fully believe anybody else's claims if I didn't see it or experience it. That doesn't mean that I believe anybody else is an automatic liar. I'm just telling you honestly how my mind works. Unless I see something myself, unless I experience it myself, it is almost impossible for me to fully believe any story that I hear. And so I'm not offended when someone would say the same thing to me. But I do believe the reason that I often experience things and the reason I'm able to record things is just because I don't have a veil of disbelief. And so it's kind of like this. If you walked into a room and there were 10 people in that room and 9 of them were not looking at you and the 10th person was looking at you, who are you going to communicate with? You're going to look at the person that sees you, acknowledges you, knows that you're looking at them, and you're going to speak to that person, right? And you're probably not going to speak to the other 9 who aren't looking at you. I look at ghost hunting kind of the same way. I'm not saying that I'm physically looking at the ghost, but, intellectually I am. As far as my belief system goes, if a place is haunted and I have that intuition, I'm essentially looking at them dead in the eye. I'm not wondering if they're real. I'm wondering where they're at. I'm not wondering if they'll speak to me. I'm wondering what they have to say. You know what I mean? I think that's the difference. So maybe that applies to whatever Puckwudgies are. Really, Puckwudgies, we're talking about non-human spirits. So they technically could be put in the elemental category. But I've always known elementals to be much darker and much scarier, I guess. So yeah, I don't know why it picked on me. That would be my best guess. Pure conjecture here. I don't know if that's true or not, but that would be my guess. So when the case is all said and done, we all talk about it. And basically, Ryan comes to the conclusion that yes, this is a Puckwudgie case. And a lot of it had to do with where the house was located. They did some form of research, and they found that the earliest reports of Puckwudgies were like literally on this property in the surrounding areas. And it had something to do with some swamp area. You know, I didn't do the research on that part, they did, but they were certain that this house was like Puckwudgie ground zero territory, right? So I said to them, well, what do you do? I mean, do you do a cleansing? I mean, who does Puckwudgie cleansings, and how do you do that? And basically the story was that Puckwudgies, they were created, and then according to legend, they killed their god. So after their god created them, the Puckwudgies kind of had this, I don't know, I guess uprising, and they killed their god, making it where they could not be killed. So I guess after they killed their god, they assumed this eternal power where they could not be destroyed. And I was like, okay, so are you saying there's nothing they can do? Not that you can kill a ghost, but I'm like, and you can't like force them out of here. And he's like, well, no, that's the thing with Puckwudgies. It's their territory, period. And there's nothing you can do other than try to essentially make peace with them and then ask them to leave you be on their property. And I'm like, okay, well, how do you make peace with the Puckwudgie? I mean, again, I'm honestly learning like the audience is when they're watching it. And, you know, because I'm like like I said, on a paranormal case, it's not like you kill a ghost, but if there's a spirit in a home, if you believe in, paranormal theory, you can do things like cleansing. You can do things like, the exorcism of a house. There's a deliverance of a house. There's all kinds of things you can do that if you believe in that process can in fact cause the spirit to vacate. But in this case, they're saying that with Puckwudgies, you're fucked. It's their place, and as long as they want to screw with you, they're going to have the ability to, and there's nothing you can do about it. These things are so powerful, they killed their own god, and now they are god of their domain. So he says, you have to make a peace offering. Not I have to, the clients would. And I'm like, what does that mean? Just like, wave a white flag and say peace? And he was like, well, no, they're going to have to go into the woods and actually make them a physical offering. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, like a strawberry patch. And I'm like, huh? And he's like, they're going to have to make them a strawberry patch. And all of this stuff was documented too, which was crazy. I'm like, hold on, so you have to make them a strawberry patch? And he was like, yeah, you have to give them something that they would like, something of value. And people in the past have used strawberry patches. And you have to ask them to basically, allow you to coexist in their property. And I'm like, okay, but what I'm thinking the whole time is, look, even though I don't believe in 99% of this stuff, I am a believer of the paranormal. And if you're a believer and if you research it, there's nothing that's like too far out there. I mean, there's some really weird stuff that you come across when you start going down different rabbit holes. So to me, it's odd and it's funny, but it's not offensive to me. And I don't think that it's, crazier than some religious beliefs, So I'm just kind of looking at it going, well, it's a weird thought. It's a kind of a crazy thought, but so is Jesus dying and, coming back to life 3 days later. I mean, that's a crazy thought too, like these things don't happen in our physical life that we usually experience, right? You don't wake up and see people die and they come back to life. You don't see little angry dwarfy Indian looking like spirits that shoot you with arrows and try to cause havoc. You don't see these things, but I'm used to the concept of people talking about these things and people believing in these things. I know who's not used to any of this, and that's the husband. I know for a fact that he is going to look at all this and think, what in the fuck is going on? Like, I didn't want these guys here in the first place because I don't want my coworkers, friends, bosses, acquaintances, family, I don't want any of them to know that I think my place is haunted and my wife and kids want to move. But now he's fixing to get an even crazier story. And I'm directing this. So the whole time I'm going, oh God, how is this going to go? So I remember pulling Ryan to the side and I'm like, so how are you going to handle this with, the husband? And he's like, well, I'm going to tell him what I think he should do to remedy the situation. And I'm like, okay, I understand, but what are you going to tell him exactly? And Ryan takes a long pause and he goes, I'm going to tell him that he has to build a strawberry patch for the Puckwudgies. And I just died laughing. I was just like, dude, you're going to tell him that? And he's like, well, that's what I think he should do. And, and he's got a big smile on his face too, because we just know that this is not going to fly. It is not going to fly, And when I say that he doesn't want us there, I mean, like, he's very vocal about it, from the beginning and throughout the whole process. Every chance, the husband / father had to tell me that he didn't like any of this and he didn't want this and it wasn't his idea. He took the chance to tell me every time, So it comes time to, do the reveal, and I am just, oh my God, I'm cringing before Ryan ever tells him what he's going to tell him. I mean, it's just, I know this is not going to go good. And, when you watch the episode, how it goes down is Ryan explains that he needs to make an offering of strawberries, in which you see the husband just kind of nod his head yes. And then the wife talks a little bit and thanks Ryan for coming. And then you see like this handshake, and then it cuts in, and the episode ends. It does their BS where they wrap it up with a bow at the end. Well, let me tell you how it really went down. How it really went down is Ryan's sitting there and he explains how these things killed their god. And they can't be removed from a property. They are the gods of their property. They own it, that type of thing. And the guy's going, yeah. And his head's kind of nodding. He's like, uh-huh. He's like just kind of listening. And Ryan gets to the part about the strawberry patch. And he pauses and he was like, so Ryan, you're telling me that after these things terrify my family, that I need to give them strawberries. Ryan's like, well, I mean, you would need to make a peace offering. And he's going, so after they terrify my family and stick people with things and make havoc out of my life and scare my children, I need to go in the woods and build them a strawberry patch. And Ryan's gone, yes, that's what I'm saying. And he stops and he was like, okay, I need you guys to leave. Everybody here, I'm done with this. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but in so many words, he's like, time to bounce. This shit's over. I'm done. I want you off my property. I want you out of here. I mean, he just laid it down. And when she got up and left the room, thankfully, Ryan spoke with his wife a little bit more, in which she was more thankful and more willing to hear him out. And, that little bit that happened there, that interaction at the end, ended up being the footage that they used. But that just shows you how much gets lost in translation, because when they sign those documents to basically be on the show, I swear to God, guys, in the documents, it says, we can do anything we want with your footage. We can lie. We can absolutely lie about you, and you're giving us the right. I mean, it's all in there. It is the most one-sided thing you've ever seen. And it has stuff in there, indemnify clauses. Like, even if we lie about you, you can't sue, you can't publicly come out and state that we lied. Like, it's a non-disclosure clause. Like, I mean, it is the most crazy one-sided contract ever. And people sign it. They sign it to be on TV. It's crazy. So yeah, we packed up all our stuff and we left. It was an uncomfortable exit, but I have to be honest, it was one of the most fun episodes we ever did. I think because I had no fear of Pukwudgies, so the fear factor wasn't really there. But I was interested. I was really interested in this whole idea of Native American leprechauns. I was even more blown away when I started experiencing things. And the tug on my shirt, that evidence was mind-blowing. I found the husbands back and forth with Ryan to be just comical, just pure comedy, and I wish they would show that stuff. It would make the episode so much better if you guys got to see those moments. It was brilliant. I was laughing so hard. And I was directing, and they kept waiting for me to cut the scene, and I honestly forgot I was directing. I was watching it, laughing like a viewer, like you guys watch it and probably oh fuck, I'm directing, shit, cut, But it was a great episode, and it was a lot of fun. And I know for a fact that they did not build a strawberry patch. They say at the end that they did. You guys got to remember, we had nothing to do with that. Post and A&E would decide how they wanted to button it up. But I know they did not. I know he did not build a strawberry patch. So I don't know that there was ever any resolve there. I have no idea. I never, spoke to the families before or after. But I know it was really interesting. Just the whole thing was interesting. If I had to put money on what I experienced, did I experience Puckwudgies? Well, I never saw a Pukwudgie. And if I had to put money on it, I would probably think that I was psychokinetically experiencing the paranormal placebo. I heard about the little bow and arrow thing, and that was so on my mind that I experienced it. The shirt tug. Now, listen, I say this all the time, you want to know what place is haunted? All places. I don't know that there's a square foot of, planet Earth that somebody hasn't died upon at some point. And remember that, spirits are energy. So whatever pulled my shirt could have been anything from anywhere. It could have been something from that home. It could have been a neighbor. It could have been something I brought with me. I don't know. I know it's an amazing piece of evidence, but can I say that I believe in Puckwudgies? I can't say that I do, but I definitely can't say that I don't. And again, I'm somebody that got stabbed in the ass by one of them. It's just hard for me to wrap my mind around that concept. I'm more apt to believe that it was a psychokinetic reaction to the information. But civilizations much older than me and much wiser believe in Puckwudgies, gnomes, leprechauns, imps. These things have been seen and reported throughout the world for a very, very long time. Thousands of years. So is it possible that they are alive and well, in a suburb of Boston? Maybe. But it was an amazing time, an amazing case, and I invite you all to check it out. So before we wrap it up, guys, just one more time, quick reminder, please visit www.aghtelevision.com/events and check out all the details on our October 17th to October 20th paranormal event at the Flint Creek Ranch in Meridian, Texas, just outside of Dallas. 8 tickets left. I would love to see you guys there. Like I said, we have people coming from all over the world to that event, from Australia, from Canada, and all over the U.S. Get to Dallas. We can help you do the rest from there. It's going to be a tremendous event, the real deal. This is definitely for people who are very serious about the paranormal and want to experience genuine paranormal activity. Having said that, guys, as always, thank you all so much for listening to episode number 79 of the In a Crowded Room podcast. I will be back with episode 80 tomorrow. All the best.